Most stories have been embedded in us since we were 4, 5, 6 years old. We just don't realize that's where they're coming from, with somebody else's message, whether a parent, a teacher, or something you heard on the TV. That message somehow caused an emotion within you, and now it's stuck in your subconscious.
Hello, you are listening to the Late Bloomer Living podcast, where we are reimagining and redefining what it means to be in midlife, where we are gathering energy, momentum, and excitement for our next chapter via candid conversations with other midlifers about their own pivots, pitfalls, and triumphs. I'm Yvonne Marchese, your host, and I'm so happy you're here. Hello, my friends. Today, I am talking to Rachel Strabley, who is a hypnotist. But I have to tell you, I've been thinking a lot about my conversation last week with Camila Reed Burrell. If you listened, you'll remember we were talking about how we both went through a time in our lives where we were napping a lot in the middle of the day and how it became a problem for us. It was just a few short years ago for me. And besides the feeling of overwhelming exhaustion in the middle of the day, I found that I was working late into the nights, okay, editing photos and doing other work after my kids were in bed, and I just couldn't get up in the mornings. And my husband would very lovingly nudge me to go to bed every night at a reasonable time. And I'd always make an excuse or tell him, I just need to finish this one more thing. And he would say, you suck at going to bed early. And this was a nightly routine, and the dialogue between us was always the same. You suck at going to bed early. It was like that movie Groundhog Day. And then in the morning, I would hit the snooze button over and over. And when I finally did get up, I was cranky and mad at myself, and that would translate into scrambling to get the kids to school and getting frustrated and angry with them when they weren't ready to go on time, and so on and so on. I now know that I was totally sabotaging myself by not going to bed early, and that my afternoon energy dips were actually a response to stress and high cortisol levels. Of course, I was tired. I was also feeling incredibly negative and overwhelmed all the time. For me, it all changed when I finally got so sick of myself, I couldn't stand it anymore. My husband had been recommending that I listen to Mel Robbins' book, The 5-Second Rule, on Audible. You guys have probably heard me mention it before. It does come up. Anyway, when I read it, it was like she was in my head. Or when I listened, it was on Audible. Anyway, when I listened, it was like she was in my head. Because she had been through a similar time in her life when she got sick of herself. And she simply decided to move her alarm across the room and count backwards 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 to launch herself out of bed when her alarm went off in the morning. That one simple change led to a host of changes in her life. So I thought, what the hell? I'll try it. I ended up taking a lot of her advice from that book, by the way, but what it also did is I ended up establishing a morning routine of meditation and yoga, which required that I get up way earlier so I could do it before my kids and husband were awake. Of course, that meant that I had to start going to bed earlier, which also meant I needed to stop working earlier in the day, which forced me to be more productive during the day because I was committed to ending my workday sooner so that I could improve the time that I was spending with my kids and my husband. It was a total shift. And I suddenly had a well of energy that was amazing to me, which inspired this whole podcast. So it turns out that my guest this week, Rachel, had the same problem a little while ago. She was napping because she was feeling isolated and depressed after moving to a new town and suddenly having her husband travel for work more, leaving her to shuttle her kids everywhere with no support system since she was in a new town. Does this sound familiar to anyone? These things happen, right? Exhaustion and the need to sleep excessively can be a response to stress. And here's the good news. All of us rounded that corner. We had different paths, but the thing that we have in common is that we are now feeling full of energy because we found a new sense of purpose. For Camila, it's her personal project of interviewing women over 40 about how their midlife challenges are intersecting with their careers. And for me, it's doing this podcast to share with others the idea that we can absolutely reinvent ourselves in midlife. For my guest, Rachel, this week, finding a new passion for hypnosis was her key to getting out of her midlife funk. Purpose is the key, my friends. I can't wait for you to hear Rachel's story. And I have something special for you at the end of the episode from Rachel. But before we get started, I want to remind you that I created a free guide for you designed to help you start taking the steps towards your next act. It's a workbook called 5 Steps to Your Midlife Reboot. You can sign up to receive it as an email series. It's got ideas and practical exercises that you can use over the course of several weeks to get past feeling stuck. And you can do them at your own pace, as they'll be just waiting for you in your inbox when you're ready for the next step. So there you go. Okay, enough of that. Here's Rachel. Let's go. Hey, Rachel. Thank you so much for being with me.
Hi, Yvonne. Thanks so much. I'm really excited.
I'm really excited too. I always like to say how I came across guests, and we were just talking about how we were at the same our kids were at the same elementary school, but staggered in years, so we didn't quite connect that way, but kind of. And then recently I saw that you are doing the hypnotherapy, and I was like, oh, that's interesting. And so we've kind of been following each other and kind of doing a little dance of becoming friends, I guess, right?
Exactly. I've been following your photography, and I recognize your face from school functions, but I don't think we really connected until now, which is great.
Yeah. Yeah. So cool. Well, I'm so glad to have you here today, and I'm excited for your story and what you're up to, because it's really exciting to see what you're doing.
Yeah, I've been, following hypnosis for quite a few years now. And last summer, I decided to jump in and be trained as a hypnotist. So It's been pretty cool, fascinating. I'm still learning, researching. It's a really exciting topic.
Yeah. So how did you first I guess start using it for yourself, right? It started as a personal journey and then has blossomed into you offering it out to other people. What was it that led you down the path of using hypnosis?
I discovered a lady called Marissa Peer, and she does hypnosis here in the US and in the UK, and does it with famous people. And so I was just watching her on YouTube, and then I started using it to help me fall asleep. And it's just a really enjoyable experience. And I read more about it, and I just kept learning until I found someone I could train with. And I actually was signed up to train with Marissa Peer down in Miami before the pandemic. But the good news is there was somebody right here in Guildford that I was able to jump on her course last minute and get trained in,
there you go.
In June. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. So I've heard you say, I think 2 things so far that have already struck me is that it was sleep issues, because for us midlifers, I think that tends to be an issue. Oh my goodness. I slept through the night last night, which
wow. Tell me how.
I don't know how, but I will say that I had the most bizarre dream. I have all week long, just bizarre dreams if I
dreams.
if I am sleeping. But yeah, it's gotten really tough to make it through a night and sleep through the night lately. So that's what led you there. And then I just love that, 2020 didn't stop you. You were going to do it and you found a way to do it.
Yeah, exactly. I was just very fortunate that there was somebody local
Yeah.
who had a spot. So she had only teaches 6 people at one time, and she only teaches twice a year. And
Oh,
so I called up within a week of her doing the class, and somebody had dropped out. So I just jumped right in and
there
took their
you
spot.
go. It was meant to be.
Yes,
Good for
it was meant
you.
to be. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah, yeah.
So what were you doing before you decided to start doing hypnotherapy?
I was a personal stylist,
Uh-huh.
and before that, a realtor.
Uh-huh.
Also, a stay at home mom, first and foremost with the 3 children, and just trying to find something that would fit with my personality as well as my day with, 3 kids at home.
Yeah.
So I tried a few things. This one I'm the most excited about.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I had seen that you were doing the personal stylist work. Uh,
hmm
And so that is yeah, that's really cool. How long did you do that for?
On and off for about 4 years. It
Okay. Yeah.
wasn't anything. I think I struggled with the fact of I really wanted to help people
Mhm.
be confident, and through I was doing it through clothing, but at the same time I'm not very materialistic, so I
Mhm.
kind of struggled with the whole, you know fitting out your wardrobe and feeling confident. I don't know, it just didn't quite. I'm pretty good at it, I will say. There was too much pressure for the outfit of the day and finding places to photograph people when I styled them. It was just wasn't me. This is more me.
Yeah. Yeah, you
Yeah.
found it. There you
Yeah.
go. There you go. Sometimes it takes some time.
It's taken me a long time.
Right. It's crazy, right? Like,
Yes.
for me, I mean, I knew I started off in theater, and that was a childhood dream. I mean, that was just what I always wanted.
That's
And
awesome.
while I did it, I loved it. If you can be 200% in, I was 200%. But then I came to a point, like something in me changed, and it took me some time to figure out that actually being an actor wasn't really a good match for me anymore. And
Anymore. Yeah.
and then when it wasn't, I was at sea. It was, I was quite lost for a lot of time, and until I picked up a camera and figured out how much I loved that.
That's
Uh,
great.
but, yeah, I mean, I think we all just gotta kind of stay open to the fact that we're changing all the time.
And reality, we still have at least 30, 40 years left to
Mhm.
keep changing or keep
Exactly.
doing what we enjoy. Yeah.
Exactly. What are you finding that you enjoy most about doing what you're doing now?
I when I do the hypnosis, I also experience some of it as well. And
Really?
so when a client comes out of hypnosis and they have had these, vivid visions of where their, blocks come from.
Uh-huh.
Um, and it's just so exciting for them to say, oh my gosh, it was that one sentence that is now holding me back from having this relationship, or feeling financially independent. Or so it's really exciting when they come out of their hypnosis and just start blurting it all out, what they just experienced.
Wow.
And then it doesn't take long for things to take effect, and most of the time I hear back that very same day of just how they're feeling emotionally, how things have changed. Just it can be immediate, which is
That's
really
incredible.
awesome. And I just love hearing back from them about how their relationship with a certain person has just done a complete 180.
Wow.
Or just one person, a client, had been, crying for quite some time. And after one session, the tears stopped, the emotion kind of changed a little bit. After the second session, it's woohoo, let's have fun kind of thing.
Wow.
So just hearing back how people are feeling afterwards is really great.
Yeah, I bet. Oh my goodness. That must be so satisfying for you.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a friend who had a very similar experience with hypnosis for himself. That led to all kinds of life changes for him.
Yes.
In one session. He flipped things around and yeah, yeah, really powerful. And I have to tell you, I'm a skeptic. I am somebody who's always been a little bit scared of like going under hypnosis with anybody, right? And I did finally get to watch. I love that you have these little hypno mini boosts that you've been
Mm-hmm.
doing on YouTube. So I finally went on and checked it out, and I love your introduction video where you kind of talk about those concerns. I think that's great to address that with people, that, you're not gonna be making them squawk like a chicken or give over passwords in the middle of
Yes,
the session or something,
exactly.
which I never would have thought of even, but I was like, "Oh, yeah."
Yes.
Um,
So most of the time, you don't even have to say anything other than what you're coming to see me for. You let me know what you're here for. We go over
mhm,
a few things to see what's blocking you, what you think is blocking you, before hypnosis. But then you actually don't go under. There's no going under. You are just talked into a deep state of relaxation.
mhm.
And you can open your eyes, you can move your body, you can sneeze, you know, any of these things that you feel you need to do, you can do any of them.
Mhm.
However, you'll feel so relaxed that you'll just want to lie there.
Yeah, I told you I did the one little mini boost, on healing and well-being, and definitely had a wonderful little floaty, lovely experience. Thank
Very
you. I'm
good.
gonna be going
Yeah.
back.
Well, maybe I should put you on the calendar so you can
Maybe
really
we should do
experience it.
that, yeah. I love that idea. So now you've turned this from your own personal experience and well, here, let me go back a step. You did it for sleep. What else did you end up, so that's what got you started down the path. Was there anything else that was going on in your life, like maybe like trying to figure out, I'm gonna guess, trying to figure out the what you were doing
Hmm.
with the stylist stuff, or did you feel a conflict, and did that help you in some way in figuring out where to go from there?
So, what really happened is we moved. We moved from one town to another, almost an hour away.
Mm,
And my husband started traveling a lot for work, which was very unusual. So, I'm in this new town, with three children in three different schools, going in three
mm.
different directions, and feeling completely down and out. So,
Yeah,
I
that's hard.
was, yeah, so I was listening to hypnosis, every afternoon, just trying to get myself out of this funk that I found myself in.
Mhm.
Um, and I didn't didn't know what I was going to be doing or going, because my day was pretty much the kids getting here, there, and everywhere, um, and not
And there
knowing
must have
anyone.
been a lot of I'm imagining that you must have felt a lot of isolation, with your
Yes.
husband being gone a lot, and then also not having your normal support system of friends that you were used to having around you?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Very
Yeah.
isolated, feeling. I was probably depressed. I'll admit.
Mhm.
Most afternoons, I would just take a nap. I would just get the kids up to school, and just not know what to do with myself. I was in a
Yeah.
real funk.
I've
So I
been
was using hypnosis, just trying to um, figure out really what I was supposed to do. And we were in a house down by the beach, which was very lovely. We were just renting it to figure out where we were going to end up. And it was winter. And I do not like the winter, so that made it, even worse.
mhm.
And but I talked to my husband, and he's like, you need to figure something out and find something just for you. And so, February, I decided that hypnosis was where I wanted to go. And like I said, I was booking the training with Marissa Peer, which was supposed to be in April. And then March, everything shut down. So in May, I found Shoreline Hypnosis and just threw myself in. And it's been really the best thing for me so far.
So happy for you.
Thank you
That's
so much.
huge. And, takes a lot of, it takes a lot of courage to change directions and to jump into something. And I just want to compliment you too on what I see you doing with your business. I see
Thank you.
what you're doing with your social media posts and all the work that you're putting into it. And I'm like, go girl.
Thanks so much.
Yeah.
The social media thing is really not my cup of tea,
hmm
but I've got it down to a planned science, if you want to call it that.
Well,
So
girl, you are rocking it. I tell you, because social media isn't my thing either. It's a definite. It's always a little bit of a stretch for me to get it going and get it done. And yeah, you were doing some really good work on that. So you've just like what did you do? What did you do to get yourself? I was going to ask you what your challenges have been, and maybe what you wish you'd known stepping into doing this as a business. So maybe this is a good time to kind of talk about the nitty-gritty on that. Like, what's that been like?
So the challenges are basically social media. I don't really feel like I want to be posting daily and scrolling daily. So I have my month set up actually.
Mhm.
So I do a month in advance of posts. So all I have to do is pop it in there every morning, and soon I'll figure out how to have it all scheduled.
There
So
you
it just
go.
goes in there by itself.
Gotcha. What
Um,
tools so I'm gonna get all nitty-gritty now.
oh
What tools are you
gosh.
using? What are you doing?
I Right now it's just me. I don't have any tools.
Mhm.
My website is GoDaddy, which is very simple.
Uh-huh.
My husband is doing a lot of the behind the scenes behind the scenes work, and I think we are going to be looking into Canva for the scheduling of the posts. So I have it, like I said, I have January all already and set to go. And I think in Canva, I can just put it all in there and then it'll shoot out daily.
There you go. But you're just jumping
But
in and figuring it out, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
And it
Yeah.
sounds like your husband is in there kind of helping you out on I think I noticed one of your posts, you mentioned that he's your techie and that he's helping you through some of that.
He is. And so all of the recordings, the mini boosts, there are 8 of them now. Um, he did all the music, the
He did a
chopping,
great job. He did a great
the
job. The quality of the videos is really nice.
thank you. He did
Yeah,
all of that. Yes.
great.
I'm just the voice behind. I'm the voice behind everything, and he is everything else. I write all my posts, obviously. I write all my own blogs.
Uh-huh.
He helps with the visuals, the images as well. He's having just as much fun with it as I am. He's very supportive and has been, whatever I say I want to do, he makes sure that it can happen,
That's
which is really good.
amazing. It's amazing like that last year, you know how you can pick a word for your year. Last year I picked the word help. Um
Oh,
And the reason I did that is because I have problems asking for help, and I find that I tend to get a little isolated, or I isolate myself, and so my
I can
challenge,
understand that.
yeah, going both ways. I wanted to offer help as much as I could, and in the form of reaching out to friends more and reaching out to people more, and also accepting help and even asking for help, which is the real challenge. But honestly, like, I had to build my own website to get going with the podcast, and
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I could have done it without a weekly phone call that I had with a friend. Just and he didn't design it for me, but it was just good to have somebody to talk through where I was stumbling
Mm-hmm.
for that point in time. And he's got a lot of tech skills, and just being able to go, I'm trying to figure this out, and then we'd sit and look at it for a minute, and it was huge to have that help.
It is huge. And to have an idea in your head and be able to put it there on your website or in a vision, or, we need help with that.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
very technically challenged. I'm not going to sugarcoat it.
Yeah. And I mean, I think that goes right down to getting help with coaching of some sort, which I had a couple of coaches this year for the first time, which was huge. And
Mm-hmm.
maybe doing hypnotherapy, like I think we all just need to kind of stay open to um, getting outside our comfort zones, especially at this point in our lives. I think we all just kind of want to settle into the known quantities, whether or not they're working for us.
Right.
you know, um, Maybe time to open up a little bit. And
I I think a lot more people seem to be opening up to meditation, yoga,
mhm.
hypnosis, more so than, well, I didn't even know it existed, I don't think, in my 20s. So I think it's more out there now.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. The yoga and meditation has been my key in the past couple of
Yes.
years, and
Hmm.
doing it every day has been a game changer for
And yoga
sure.
with Adrian also got me out of my
Me too.
funk. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my goodness, I love her.
Yes. Thank goodness for Adrian. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So you were going down to Florida, and then that got canceled. So did you find Adrian during that time, or were you doing it already, or like,
Uh, I'd already known about yoga with Adrian also for quite a few years. I would just turn it on now and then and do some, stretching. But um, the time when everything shut down, that day I decided to do her 30-day yoga.
yep, a friend turned
And
us on to it, and that was my first introduction to her. And yeah,
yeah,
now I'm a Uber fan.
yes. So I did the 30 days, and then I did 30 more, and then I
Uh-huh.
did 30 more.
Uh-huh.
Um, but now I switched it up a little bit, and I throw in some Lucy Wyndham Reed. I don't know if you're familiar with her,
No,
but
no.
she does these really short but effective workouts,
Uh-huh.
and which are quite addictive, actually. So if you do
Oh,
one of
that's
her
great.
workouts, they only last like 10 or 15 minutes.
Sometimes that's
And
all you got.
that's
Yeah.
what gave me the idea of the mini hypno boost, actually,
Mhm.
is that some people do not have an hour or so to actually, make the appointment and feel that they have time to relax enough to, deal with some issues. So the
Right.
mini hypno boosts I came up with, thinking that you just go straight in there, get the messages you need, and then you're back out and on your way in less than 15 minutes. But if you do them daily, so I suggest you listen to them for 7 days, that
Mhm.
it just kind of builds on itself. And so if you are healing, for example,
Mhm.
you listen to it for day one, you'll feel slightly better. But by day seven, it's like having a full on hypnosis session for healing. So
That's terrific. Oh my goodness.
Hmm.
I'm excited to do it for I'm in. I'm in. I'm doing it for the
Awesome.
next 7 days. You got me.
You'll have to give me some feedback.
I will. I will for sure.
Yeah.
So what would you say has been your biggest challenge in stepping into doing this?
Biggest challenge has been to, well, it's all good. I just can't stop learning. That I am always reading, watching. I want to take more courses. I mean, I don't know that it's a challenge, but it's it's pretty much taken over a lot of my life right now.
I know what you mean. I know what you mean. I feel the same way. I'm constantly thinking about the podcast and finding stories and being like, oh, or just like looking at reading books about midlife and aging and how can we redefine this for ourselves? How do we
Hmm.
redefine it not only um, in the greater society and you know how that affects us, but also just in our own mindset instead of kind of like getting stuck in those old thoughts about what it means to be middle-aged or 50. I mean,
Hmm.
like you said, we um whether or not I'm healthy, I probably have 30 years ahead of me, you know. So
Yeah,
thinking about having another 30 years ahead of me actually um I'm excited to think about what could that look like, you know?
exactly.
And it inspires me to do the exercise every day because I do wanna
Yes,
be healthy for those 30 something years, you know?
yes, it's still another lifetime.
Exactly. Right?
Yeah.
Oh my
But
gosh, it's
one funny thing is that when I have a client, I do tend to wake up at random hours of the night with a script in my head. And
oh,
so fortunately, my office is off of my master bedroom.
uh-huh.
And so I wake up with this script going around in my head, and I'm like, I'm never going to remember that. I'm never going to remember that. And so I just come into my office, whether it's 3 a.m., 4 a.m., and literally type up a whole script um,
Wow.
for for my client. And
And
every
ready to
script is
go in.
unique.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, every script is unique to my client's needs.
So tell me more about that. So what is it like to work with you? Or you're not doing one-to-one face-to-face right now, I'm guessing?
I am doing mostly Zoom.
Uh-huh.
Occasionally, I will do face to face.
Mhm.
I have gone to clients' homes and they have come to me, but
Okay.
we obviously masks on, 6
Right.
feet apart. The experience, some people feel it's not going to work if it's via Zoom, but it does work. It works via Zoom.
Mhm.
It'll work via a phone call. I've used Facebook, uh, video chat. It works. It works.
Wow.
And I have quite a few clients in the UK. So it definitely works.
There you go. And so
Yes.
for each person, you kind of learn what they're hoping to address, and then you come up with a script for each session, for each person.
For each session. So,
Uh-huh.
say your first session, you want to work on confidence.
Mhm.
So, there'll be one specifically for you based on confidence. And then, after you've built your confidence, and now you're thinking, well, actually, I also have some money blocks. I don't think I'm worthy of earning what I think I
Mhm.
want to earn. And then we'll go back in and do some money block work. And so, yeah, depending on what you want to go through, whether it's weight release, the weight release actually is kind of a package deal because there's a stress release component to it first. So you could
Mm.
take away all of your negative feelings around your weight.
Mhm.
And then the second session is more um, geared towards your issues with not you personally, obviously, but your issues towards weight. And then the third one is just a reminder and a little boost as well at the end. And sometimes other things come up, people don't gain weight because they want to gain weight.
Right.
So there are other things that make you, gain weight. And those come up and need to be addressed as well.
So you were feeling stuck.
Mm-hmm.
Is it just the hypnosis that kind of got you past that? Or was there anything else that helped you in kind of digging yourself out of that depressed place that you were in?
I think the fact that the winter was ending.
Yes, that's a big one for me, for sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we were also purchasing our new home.
Mm-hmm.
So it was going to be my home with my things in it. As nice as the rental home was, and as appreciative as I am of having to had that few months to settle in Madison, it was fully furnished rental.
So you didn't feel like you were at home.
No,
Yeah.
there was a lot of stuff there.
Yeah.
It was a crowded house. So I just, knowing I was moving into my own home, and we've moved into an amazing neighborhood, actually. The neighbors have been really, really great. So yeah, I think just having my own home, the kids having their own rooms, and John saying, "You just got to figure this out and find something for yourself," just made me take some time and think to what I really wanted to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you took time for yourself, and you had, it sounds to me like you had a nice nudge from somebody who loves you, and
Yes.
you gave yourself permission, it sounds like, to do something for yourself. Is that
Yeah.
right?
So I am the kind of person that can actually turn things around very quickly once I realize where I am.
Mm.
So that's just my nature anyway. If I'm stuck somewhere, it could take me a day just to turn it around. Even if I'm there for 3 months, which I pretty much was.
Yep. Wow.
Yes.
That's
Yeah.
great. If you were to, I mean, if you were to give advice to somebody who was feeling stuck, what would you say?
I accept where you are, accept how you're feeling,
Mm-hmm.
and then figure out how you want to feel.
Mm-hmm.
And then just focus on how you want to feel. Just kind of change your story,
Yeah.
We spend so much time saying, oh, I really hate my job, or, oh gosh, this commute really sucks. You need to find things within your job, like, but I love my coworker. So instead of saying, I hate my job, saying, can't wait to see my coworker.
Yeah.
Or, gosh, this traffic really sucks. Say, oh, I'm in traffic. Let's see if my favorite song's on the radio. Just
Right.
kind of, change your story, and then.
Hugely powerful.
Yeah.
Because we all, I mean, that's all that it is in our minds, is all these well-worn ruts of stories that we're telling ourselves. And
Exactly.
I guess, and like you said, I think it's key that you said, once you realize where you're at, you can then flip. And part of
Yes.
it's being aware, right, of the story you're telling yourself, and then maybe deciding whether or not it's working for you, because it really is just a story.
Yes. It is a story, and that's where hypnosis comes in, actually, is, some people keep reverting back to that story because it's been there since they were very, very young.
Mm-hmm.
Most stories have been embedded in us since we were 4, 5, 6 years old. We just don't realize that's where they're coming from, with somebody else's message, whether a parent, a teacher, or something you heard on the TV. that message somehow caused an emotion within you, and now it's stuck in your subconscious.
Yeah. And if you don't know it's there, it's just running you, right?
Exactly. But it is easy without hypnosis to just switch your story around once you catch yourself in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Pretty key.
Yeah.
So it sounds like, I mean, was yoga something, was that a new habit you had to establish for yourself? Like it sounds like you maybe were like me, where I was dabbling a little bit. I would do it sometimes, but maybe not all the time.
Yeah.
What habits did you do to kind of get yourself through?
Yeah. So yoga for me was probably, 2-3 times a month. I would do yoga.
Mhm.
Mostly I would walk daily. So doing 30 days of yoga was a challenge that I set for myself, but I was able to entice 3 other young ladies into. They didn't choose yoga, but they chose a movement that worked for them, whether it was
Oh, okay.
running or
Yeah.
weights or walking. And mine was yoga. And we would check in for the 30 days.
Good
And I'd
for
say,
you.
yes, I did my yoga today. And then,
Uh-huh.
one of them would say, yes, I did my running today. So we would check in, we did a 30-day check-in.
Nice.
And actually, we are still checking in daily.
Ah, that's
So,
awesome.
yes, so we still do some kind of movement
Uh-huh.
daily. And then we check in and say, and we also check in on how we're feeling and things of that nature now, too. So,
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's terrific. So what are you excited about that's coming up?
What am I excited about? I am doing some packages which will be available on my storefront on my website, which you can purchase and listen to on your own in the comfort of your own home. And one is for menopause.
Oh, very good. Uh-huh.
Yes. And the other one is to increase your libido.
Oh, is that
Oh.
tight? So that's not tied into menopause.
It's not tied
That's
into
separate.
menopause. However, I
Uh-huh.
do I do understand that ladies going through menopause are also have a decreased libido.
Mhm.
And so I've had a few people reach out to me to see if I have anything for the libido. And I feel like maybe that's more of a private thing that people would want to
Mhm.
have, not, maybe they want to come to me, maybe not,
Right.
So
I could
I saw
definitely
it.
see where that would be a nice thing to do, like, on your own, you know?
Exactly,
Yeah, and
exactly.
maybe package those up, menopause, libido, get a little package deal going,
Exactly.
right?
So those two packages will be available on my storefront when this podcast comes out.
Very
I'm
cool.
working on that right now. So
Yeah,
yeah,
so let's see,
yeah.
today we're just to let everybody know, we're talking it's January 12th now, and it'll be sometime in February when the podcast comes out.
Hmm.
Where can people find you? What is your website?
My website is hypnosiswithrachel.com.
Great. And you can find you on YouTube at your channel's called
Also,
Hypnosis with Rachel as well, right?
yes, it is. Yeah.
Cool.
And Hypnosis with Rachel Global on Instagram
Okay.
and Hypnosis with Rachel on Facebook.
Fantastic.
Very
And
simple.
I will put links in the show notes to of course all your contact information. I'll also have links to like yoga with Adrian and
Hmm.
what is the person that you your
Oh, Lucy Wyndham Reed.
Oh, yeah, that one too. But I was
Yep.
thinking of the first hypnosis class you were gonna go to down in Florida.
Oh,
Who's that again?
Marissa Peer.
Pier. Is it Pier?
EER.
EER. Okay, cool. I'll
Yes,
look that up and make sure I
yes.
include some links to that stuff so that if people
Very
want to
good.
delve in a little bit, they can. Um,
I'd also like to offer a link to your listeners only.
Very
a
cool.
25% discount to a hypnosis session with me.
Yay. Oh, very good. So, and I'll have that link available in the show notes for anybody who is wanting to check that out and everything. That's exciting.
Excellent.
Yeah, very cool. This was so fun to talk, and
It really was.
I'm just going to say maybe further down the line, we might revisit, come back, have you back, and
That would be awesome. Yeah.
and see where you're at in a while, give you some time to get your legs and see where all this goes for you. I'm excited for you.
I'm excited for you too. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, it's been a good time. Well, there you have it. Before we say goodbye, I want to ask you a question, just to get you thinking about your next steps. Are you feeling like everyone around you has it all figured out? And are you wondering what's wrong with you? Is your energy low? Do you feel like napping the day away? Okay, that was more than one question, but they are all related. Those feelings mean that there is something more waiting for you. Pay attention. Take the time that you need to figure out what might get you excited about your life. Awareness is the first step to getting in touch with your purpose, that thing that's going to give you energy and excitement every day. Give yourself the gift of carving out the time to listen to your inner voice. Get a coach if you need to. Invest in yourself. You won't regret it. And by the way, I've heard from a few different friends that when they listen to my guests, they feel like my guests are just these amazing people who are perhaps even a little superhuman. This is the thing, though. Every single guest I've talked to has had to overcome that very feeling to get to where they are now. And just because they got past that hurdle doesn't mean they'll never have that feeling again. We are only human, and we need to be kinder to ourselves. It takes practice to get past all the negative self-talk that we've been feeding ourselves for so many years. So just because we overcome it once, that doesn't mean we've got it all figured out. I know. Is that bad news? Don't worry, though. I'm just going to tell you something that makes me a little nervous to admit out loud. I've recently noticed that I've reached a sort of weird plateau in my own journey. I've been doing this podcast for a while now. I mean, episode 40 comes out next week. Woohoo! So anyway, what that means is that I've gotten into a 40-week groove and I'm getting more comfortable with my process. It also means I'm officially in the messy middle of this project. Do you know what I mean by the messy middle? I mean, I'm no longer experiencing all of the excitement that comes at the beginning of a journey, that kind of high. I'm now on what you might call the hero's journey. First of all, no, I don't think I'm some special hero, but let me explain. The hero's journey is a classic storytelling structure. Some of you may have heard of this. There's always a protagonist who goes on an adventure, makes new friends, encounters roadblocks, fights a bad guy or a dragon, and returns home a changed person. So, if I put myself in that storytelling structure, this is where I'm at. I've started my new adventure. I've made new friends. That's one of the best parts of doing this podcast, by the way. But now that I've been doing this a while, I'm feeling impatient for this podcast to reach more listeners. I'm questioning myself a lot. Is the podcast even good enough? How can I make it better? Does anyone even care but me? I have a long list of things that I should be doing, but yes, that was air quotes, should be doing, but I'm limited by both time and money, so that's frustrating. And, well, frankly, I'm learning that should is just a dirty word. I'm constantly having to remind myself that I don't have to do this. I get to do this. So that's the messy middle. The middle of the journey is where we need to dig in and find the reserves of strength we didn't know were within us. Oh boy, I think I just went on a rant. I guess I'm just saying, don't give up. Never give up. It's never too late. By the way, my little confidence crisis led me to trying out one of Rachel's mini hypno boosts for confidence. I did it 7 days in a row, as she suggests, and let me tell you, it worked. And then a couple of weeks later, I bottomed out. I woke up in the middle of the night with all kinds of self-doubt. I ended up doing her mini boost again, managed to get back to sleep, and woke up in the morning ready to slay several dragons. I can't explain it, but there you have it. If you want to know more about Rachel, try her mini boosts. I will have links to that information for you in the show notes, and she has very generously offered a 25% discount off of a one-on-one session with her, especially for Late Bloomer Living listeners. Just go to the show notes and click on the link to get more information. You can find the show notes by going to latebloomerliving.com/podcast and click on the show notes for episode 39. Thanks so much for listening. I hope you have a fantastic week. Stay safe and well. Talk soon.